Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I can't believe it's already 2026. That is actually crazy. I feel like 2016 was like last year, but okay. I decided this year I really want to do more like sit down and chat videos. So here I am with my first one. Normally I'm not a TBR girl. Like I can't plan out what I want to read because I am such a mood reader, but that's usually for like a month, which is like a more condensed time frame. But since this is for a year, a whole 365 days, I feel like it'll be a lot easier to manage. Obviously we have 365 days in the year and I only have 26 books on this planned out TBR, so I think it's doable. Why am I already out of breath? A lot of these books on my 26 for 2026 I don't have the physical copy of, which means I just need to go shopping. Let's just hop into the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm referencing my phone because I wrote them down on my phone, obviously, so I don't forget them. The first one is Night by Elie Wiesel. And I just finished reading The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. The writing on that book wasn't great. This isn't a review video, so I'm not gonna go into depth, but the actual storyline, following along, the pacing, everything was really good in that book. I enjoyed it, and it also opened my eyes a lot to some of the things that was going on. I feel like I got educated, but also it felt like a mix between fiction and nonfiction. I am on a journey to read a lot more nonfiction in 2026, or just things that are going to teach me something and really open my eyes to different situations that have happened in history. This book is a nonfiction. We're basically reading about the author's experience in concentration camps. He is a survivor of the Holocaust and a political activist, so I feel like this book is really going to open my eyes and teach me a lot more things, kind of deeper, probably deeper than The Tattooist of Auschwitz, because that was technically a fiction book even though it was based around true events of a real person's life. But this is actually written by the person who was in the concentration camp, so I'm really excited to start it. The next book is Lessons in Chemistry. This has actually been on my radar for months, and I was going to try to read it in 2025. I just never got around to doing it. I did end up getting the audiobook on Libby, but I didn't want to do the audiobook. For some reason, I just feel like I need to sit down and read this book. It's kind of giving me like Atmosphere vibes by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Obviously I haven't read it, so I don't know if that's accurate, but what I mean by that is it is about a woman who is basically in a field of, I'm assuming, chemistry or some kind of scientific field, and the men in that field are just, I guess there's just like a sense of inequality, and she ends up resigning and starting a cooking show or getting onto a cooking show of some sort and using her knowledge of chemistry in that cooking show. I don't think it's necessarily a book about chemistry and science. I think it's more so the literary fiction aspect of the book, telling a story about like women empowerment and injustice and things like that. That's at least what I'm getting from it. I also think that this is a TV show or a movie now, so I'm excited to read that because I have been loving being able to like read a book and then go back and watch the show of it, the show adaptation. So I'm excited to read this one as well. All of these I'm excited to read, obviously, and that's why they're on the list. Next, I would love to read Night Crawling by Layla Motley. I did read The Girls Who Grew Big a few months ago. I want to say like in October and November, which is by the same author. And that book was just chef's kiss. Like the imagery and the lyricism and the way she wrote that book was just so beautiful and deep. Like things that I wouldn't even expect to be so deep, she just wrote it in a way that really makes you think deeper. And so I just thought she was a really good author. It was my first book by her, so I just feel like I need to go back and read some of her other books that she has in her catalog and just, I don't know, maybe I'll have a new favorite author. I don't really have a favorite author because I don't ever really go and read back catalogs of any authors. I just kind of pick and choose books here and there. But with how good The Girls Who Grew Big was, I am just so excited to read this book, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. Up next, we have Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult, I believe is how you say her name. This book has also been on my radar for a while. I just never got around to it. So let me just read you guys the little synopsis, the book description that they have here on Goodreads. Ruth Jefferson is a labor and delivery nurse at a Connecticut hospital with more than 20 years experience. During her shift, Ruth begins a routine checkup on a newborn, only to be told a few minutes later that she has been reassigned to another patient. Basically, the original parents of the newborn that she was with first are like white supremacists and did not want a person of color as their baby's doctor. So one day Ruth is in the nursery with all the babies. I'm pretty sure she's the only nurse or whatever she is there. And that baby ends up going into cardiac arrest, and she's kind of teetering like, okay, do I still help this baby because it's a baby who needs help right now, or do I not because they told me they don't want me to have anything to do with their child? Eventually she ends up making her decision and has to go to court because they are charging her with a serious crime, and then we're just following along her story from there. I am so excited to read this. It's kind of giving How to Kill a Mockingbird in a sense because of the racial injustice and the whole like trial aspect of it, but I feel like I like to like pick out little small things from books and compare them in ways that might not really make sense, but that's just what I like to do in my brain, to connect things. The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. So we have our main character, Alice Wright, who feels like her life is kind of like constraining and suffocating. She ends up going to America and marrying an American man, but then she quickly finds out that the small claustrophobic life in Kentucky is not working for her. This is set in the Depression era of America. I didn't even realize this was based around a true story. I love the edges of, they're so smooth. Bye. This book is amazing. I'm about to read it now. Next on my radar is The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake. This one is a bit strange, and the reviews on Goodreads aren't very good. Normally I like to go by the reviews on Goodreads, but you know, I'm trying to step out of that and not let the review on Goodreads dictate whether I read a book or not, because reading is truly subjective, and just because the majority of people who read the book probably don't like it doesn't mean that I won't. The main reason why I had this book on my radar, or where I even heard about this book from, was a girl in the book club that I am in. She basically said that this book is going to stick with her and she's going to probably think about it forever, but she still doesn't know how she feels about it at the same time, which I found so intriguing. I don't know, books like that really pique my interest, because obviously when I read, I want something that's going to stick with me, that I'm going to think about and really like just change the whole chemistry of my brain. That probably sounds so dramatic. I honestly couldn't even tell you what this book is about. Don't know anything about this book, but I immediately added it to my Goodreads TBR when I saw her say that, because it piqued my interest. It just sounded like it would be something that I would enjoy. And she also said that not everyone would like this book. It is not everyone's cup of tea. Again, piqued my interest, because one of my favorite books is I Who Have Never Known Men. A lot of people don't really like that book because it is very ambiguous. It is very not even confusing, but just open-ended. It doesn't answer your questions, and the overall vibe is very like, it has an overall like melancholy vibe, and I don't know, something about that was just so, it was just so good. I might be grasping at straws a little bit when I say this, but I feel like this book is going to kind of give me that same vibe. Again, I don't know what the book is about. Haven't read the synopsis, the book description, nothing. But I want to read it. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. Then I want to read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which, let me clarify, I technically have read this book, but I have not finished it. I would say I am probably a good like 60% of the way through the book. I don't know exactly because I took my bookmark out apparently, but I did read this book months ago, maybe like mid 2025. And it was a soft DNF. I was just kind of bored with it. I didn't see the point in where the book was going. I feel like it gave me Normal People vibes by Sally Rooney, which I feel like is more of like a literary fiction that has zero plot. I'm not gonna force it though. I will see if I like it enough to finish it, and if I don't, then I will just make the decision to do a complete DNF. But I just want to make that decision one way or another on this book in 2026. So yeah, this book is basically about two people who knew each other as children, separated, and then they ended up bumping into each other again as adults. They both are really into game developing and playing games, and so they become game developers together. They make this game that does really, really well, and then we're kind of following along that. That's all I remember, and I feel like that's all that really happened. Ooh, this next one I'm also so excited about. It is Broken Country. This book has 4.31 stars on Goodreads with over 400,000 ratings. That alone has me intrigued. Y'all know me. I think it did release in 2025, and it has been on my radar since it released. I don't know why I never picked it up. Actually, I do know. It's because, you know, when a book releases, it's always in a hardcover, and so I was kind of just waiting for the paperback to drop, but I can still read it like on Kindle or something, or maybe from my library if they have it, and then get the paperback later on down the road. But anyway, yeah, this next book I heard has made so many people cry. I'm known to at least tear up a little bit in a book because I'm a very emotional and empathetic person. I'm one of those people that like deeply feel other people's emotions. Like if someone's crying, I'm probably gonna cry. This book here, I feel like is definitely gonna make me cry, at least based on the reviews that I've seen. It is called Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers. Basically, we are following 4 sisters. Let me just read you guys the blurb so I don't get anything wrong. Okay, it's 3. The 3 Blue sisters are exceptional and exceptionally different. Avery, the eldest and recovering heroin addict turned straight-laced lawyer, lives with her wife in London. Bonnie, a former boxer, works as a bouncer in Los Angeles following a devastating defeat. And Lucky, the youngest, models in Paris while trying to outrun her partying ways. They also had a 4th sister, Nikki, whose unexpected death left the family reeling. A year later, as they each navigate grief, addiction, and ambition, they must return to New York to stop the sale of the apartment they were raised in. But coming home is never easy as it seems, as the sisters reckon with the disappointments of their childhood and the loss of the only person who held them together. They realize that the greatest secrets they've been keeping might not have been from one another, but from themselves. This book truly sounds so good, and the font is tiny. I'm excited to read this, and hopefully I don't cry too much or get too much anxiety and stressed out from this. The next book is Recitative. So I'm going to read this book description straight from Goodreads because I don't want to mess it up. I want to be able to explain the book as best as possible. All right, so it basically says this. You okay? Twyla and Roberta have known each other since they were 8 years old and spent 4 months together as roommates at the St. Bonaventure shelter. Inseparable at the time, they lose touch as they grow older, only to find each other later at a diner, then a grocery store, and again at a protest. Seemingly at opposite ends of every problem and in disagreement each time they meet, the 2 women still cannot deny the deep bond their shared experience has forged between them. In this story, Twyla and Roberta's races remain ambiguous. We know that one is white and one is black, but which is which? Morrison herself, so the author, described the story as an experiment in the removal of all racial codes from a narrative about 2 characters of different races for whom racial identity is crucial. Recitative is a remarkable look into what keeps us together and what keeps us apart, and about how perceptions are made tangible by reality. I also want to read Beloved by Toni Morrison. So from what I have gathered from this book is that it is heavy and very emotionally driven, and it is also sorry, let me refocus. This is about a woman who has escaped from slavery but cannot escape what it's done to her and the causes of it. Yes, thank you, you're really so pretty too. This book really dives deep into like trauma and the way it like lives deep in within you and ghosts from your past. And I'm pretty sure there's like a real ghost in the book. But I would say check your trigger warnings on this book, because from what I gathered, it does have a bit of a heavy topic, actually a very heavy topic in it. If you need to check your trigger warnings, then you should probably do that on this book. But overall, it is about motherhood, grief, survival, trauma, it encompasses the whole 9. Then I have Americana. This is about a Nigerian woman who moves to the US and she basically realizes what it means to be black in America, when in Nigeria she didn't have to think about that. It talks about race, beauty, which a lot of these books, wow, I'm just not realizing so many of these books are over race, which I did not do intentionally, but it is about race and beauty standards and immigration and identity and fitting into new worlds. I heard that it's partly funny, it's deep, it's relatable, and so I just feel like this is really up my alley, so I'm excited to read. This next book is long overdue. I should have been at this, honestly. It is Saving Six, which is a part of the Boys of Tolman series. I've already read Finding 13 and Keeping 13 end of 2024, right around like New Year's. The only reason I didn't go straight into the next part of the series is because I was literally physically ill. I was not feeling well after reading this. Like the anxiety and the anger it gave me, and just stress, I was like, I can't do it to myself. It also probably wasn't a good combo, because when I read, I think Binding 13, when I read one of them, I was literally pulling an all-nighter doing a 24-hour reading challenge, and I got 0 sleep, and so it probably threw off my equilibrium. Another reason why I put it off so long is because Saving Six is Joey's POV, and Joey is Shannon's older brother, and so I felt like it kind of, or at least from what I heard, it seems like this book kind of follows along the same storyline of Binding and Keeping 13, and so I felt like it would be kind of repetitive, so I was kind of like, I don't really know if I care to read it. But I feel like ever since I read, like that whole year of 2025, I felt like I was missing a piece of Johnny and Shannon, which I know this book isn't going to be like mostly about them, but I don't know, maybe I can get some kind of closure just learning about everyone else in their like world. So I feel like I put it off long enough. I need to dive back into the BLT world, and I don't know, I just miss all the characters. Then I have probably one of the only other romance books that I have on this 26 for 2026, because I'm not much into romance, but I do want to try to read Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This has been on my shelf for so very long, and I know that they just released a movie in 2025, I'm pretty sure, about this book, and so I just want to read it again because I like to go back and watch the movie adaptations. So I just thought it'd be fun to read this one and go back and watch the movie. This book is basically about a mom and a daughter who are very different, and they just have a kind of a budding relationship where they don't really get along. The mom is like, she doesn't want her daughter to grow up like her and make the same mistakes she did. Her daughter's like, just stay out of my life. And the only thing holding them together, I guess, is their husband, well, the mom's husband, the daughter's dad. But he ends up getting into a car accident, and I'm not sure what the outcome is, if he's okay or not. I'm not sure, but that's as far as I know. And I guess that kind of brings them back together, maybe. I also want to read The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand. The only Ellen Hildebrand book that I have read is The Academy, which was her new release with her daughter. But I have not read like an OG Ellen Hildebrand book, which you guys can see I have 3 here. Haven't read those yet, but I'm pretty sure her books are pretty loved in the book community, and so I'm excited to give it a try. I did try to read The Castaways at one point. I think I got to maybe 25-ish%. And just put it down. There was nothing wrong with the book. It was just very slow, in my opinion. Like, nothing was really going on. I don't even know if I made it as far as 25%. I would say maybe like 15, actually. 15 or 20. I don't know. I believe The 5-Star Weekend is book 1 in the Nantucket series. 5-Star Weekend is this is crazy because this book description sounds so similar to Regretting You that I literally just read. But it is basically, it follows a bunch of different characters, which I feel like Ellen Hildebrand is notorious for. Like, she just has a bunch of characters in her books. But one of the women gets into a heated argument with her husband. He ends up leaving the house and gets into a car crash and does not make it. Unfortunately, she has a complicated relationship with her daughter, just like the other book. And so I guess she wants to go on this 5-star weekend getaway thing to kind of just reset her mind. And the other women on this getaway are going through their own things, of course. It's very drama filled, which again is very on brand for Ellen Hildebrand. I don't really know how to explain this book because 1, I've never read it, but 2, because it's just kind of all over the place. Like, there's just so many characters, there's so much drama, there's just so much going on. But I'm excited to read it. I don't know why I chose an Ellen Hildebrand book that I don't even have on hand when I have 3 here. None of those piqued my interest right now, and so I just went with something else, but who knows? I'll probably read those and not the one that I have on my list, so we'll see. Next, I have Recursion by Blake Crouch. This has also been on my shelf for so very long. This is a very high sci-fi type of book, I think. So this is, like I said, a sci-fi. I'm pretty sure it's like a thriller too. It's supposed to be really like mind-bending and psychological about, I think it's kind of dealing with reality and time and maybe space, I'm not sure, and how fragile reality is. So it starts out with some kind of weird mysterious phenomenon where people are all of a sudden remembering lives that they have never lived, like memories, childhoods, like full in-depth lives that they never actually experienced. It just kind of spirals into complete chaos, and people are questioning what reality is, who they are, and just like what's going on. At first it looks like a disease, an epidemic that spreads through no known means, driving its victims mad with memories of a life they have never lived. But the force that's sweeping the world is no pathogen. It's just a first shockwave unleashed by a stunning discovery, and what's in jeopardy is not our minds but the very fabric of time itself. Okay, I don't know why I've put this off for so long, but I am so excited to read this book. I guess I'm just kind of scared of the sci-fi part of it, because I did try to read Red Rising, which is like a sci-fi fantasy type of book, and I was just lost with that book, not gonna lie. So this is, I'm pretty sure this is a lot different though. This is kind of giving dystopian vibes also, but yeah, I'm excited to read it. All of these books I'm so excited. Like, where am I supposed to start? I don't know where to start. Now I'm not gonna read any of them because I don't know where to start. I'm losing sunlight. We need to speed this up. The next book that I have is Pictures of You by Emma Gray. I just read this book description again, and I don't know what's going on and why I keep picking books that have like similar things going on. But again, husband gets in a car crash. I don't know what's going on. I rebuke it. Okay, I rebuke it, absolutely. But anyway, okay, it's been on my shelf. We gotta read it. So basically, her husband gets in a car crash. Well, they both get in a car crash. Her husband succumbs to his injuries. She is in the hospital, and when she wakes up, her best friend comes to try to help her like remember who she is and like pieces of her life. And as she's going through this, she's kind of like, this is not the life I dreamed. I never pictured that I would go for anything like this. And so she's kind of like, who did I become? What was my life? And basically now that she has a second chance, what does she want to do with it, I guess. Honestly, like first impressions, well, I haven't even cracked the book open yet, but I feel like this would be a lot more interesting if her husband was still alive and she was like, okay, let me figure out what I want to do, because this doesn't seem like a man I would go for. I don't like the life I was living, blah, blah, blah. And so I feel like it'll be a lot more like emotion. It would have a lot more emotional depth and just, I don't know, draw me in more, I feel like, if the husband was still alive. But anyway, that's just, what am I talking about? I actually need to hurry up. I've been sitting here, I kid you not, y'all, I've been sitting here for almost 2 hours now because my camera keeps turning off because it keeps overheating. My daughter keeps coming in here. It's just a bunch of stuff going on. Okay, but I'm really trying to get this video out for you guys. So I also have Hidden Pictures. I have heard about this book so much. I have kind of taken a pause on reading thriller books lately. I've been doing a few thriller audiobooks like here and there, but I haven't really read, like sat down and read thriller books lately. But this one I feel like is super popular, at least I've heard about it a lot. Basically, the main girl in this book ends up taking a job as a babysitter for a young boy. They bond pretty fast. She's getting along with him. She loves her job. And he draws like little pictures in his notebook, which start out fine at first, but then she finds that the pictures are getting increasingly weird and creepy and dark. She's kind of like trying to figure out like, okay, is it like something, is he possessed, like something wrong with him? So we're kind of just following along that. But what is really intriguing is that it actually has pictures in the book. Like, I feel like that is so fun. So like as you're reading about, first of all, whoa, as you're reading about the things that he's drawing in the storyline, you can see the pictures along with it, which is so fun. But it is very visually getting dark. So if you go towards the back, whoa, the freak is that? Yeah, it definitely gets a lot more dark as you go through the pictures. Like, it's getting a lot more creepy. I'm trying to figure out how he went from drawing stick figures and pictures like this to whole sketches. Like, wow. This one is like a double whammy. I have got to finish the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I did read book 1 a few months ago, and then I ended up watching the TV show, and I didn't want to stop at season 1 of the TV show, so I ended up just binging the whole thing. And so now that I kind of know what happens in the show, I mean, it didn't, even for season 1 or like book 1, it didn't really follow exactly what was going on in the book. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of differences even in book 2 and 3 as compared to the show. But for some reason, after watching the show, I was like, okay, well, I don't really need to read the books now. And so it kind of just put me off to it. But now I'm back and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to read these books. I missed the characters. I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO, I guess. So I feel like I need to read these books in 2026. Up next, I would love to read Harry Potter. I have never read the Harry Potter books. I've never watched the Harry Potter series either. I know that's crazy. I think I've watched movie 1, but I'm pretty sure I might have even fallen asleep while watching it, so I don't even know if I could say I watched movie 1. Again, don't really need to give a description because I feel like everyone knows about Harry Potter. Then I want to read The Testament by Margaret Atwood. This is book 2 for the Handmaid's Tale series. Beginning December, late November, I read The Handmaid's Tale and I watched the show, but I'm only on like episode 4 of the show, so I'm not far deep into it at all. But I absolutely loved book 1. Next we have a nonfiction book. This is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I have heard a lot about this book, and actually Goodreads, I believe it was Goodreads, something recommended this book to me based off of my prior reads. So I feel like I will enjoy this book. I feel like most nonfiction that I read, I enjoy it for one reason or another. This is basically a memoir following the story of a very dysfunctional family where the father is very like hands-on, and he's a great dad except for when he drinks. and the mom is kind of drawn out and she just doesn't want to have her responsibilities as a parent. And so basically the kids are like raising each other and just going through life with essentially just each other and protecting each other and eventually becoming adults, and we're just following along their stories. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I was editing and my file got corrupted for this next clip, so I have to refilm it. The next book that I want to read in 2026 is Creep. I don't know much about this book, but I saw it in Barnes when I was trying to do like a little challenge. It was a video that I did where a spin wheel picked the books that I had to buy from Barnes, and I think I had to buy like a boysenberry book. I think that's boysenberry, I don't know. But anyway, this was the book that I found. It was actually very hard to find one. And it sounded intriguing. I've never heard of this book or anyone talking about it or this author or anything. The vibes that I'm getting from this book is like, it's like a psychological thriller, romance. The premise of this book is there is Alice and there's Tom, and they live together. They even share a toothbrush. They are just so compatible and amazing for each other. But the catch is Alice and Tom have never met. And the vibes are that she is kind of creeping, which is the whole point of the name of the book, on him and being a little delusional. And I guess she thinks that they're in a relationship. I don't know. It just sounded really interesting. I'll just read you guys the little synopsis on the back. Alice and Tom are made for each other, deeply connected. They share a flat in London, go to galleries together, enjoy the same books and wine. They even share a toothbrush. It's all picture perfect, except Alice and Tom have never met. Alice has been cleaning Tom's apartment every Wednesday for a year. A year is crazy. With every smudge wiped from his coffee cup, every multivitamin counted in the jar, Alice spirals deeper into infatuation, imagining a love so powerful it might erase a lifetime of self-hatred and loneliness. It says that it is about race, alienation, social class, women's mental health, just lots of things in this book. So I'm very intrigued. It's not that big of a book. If y'all have read this book, please let me know how you felt about it, because like I said, I haven't heard anyone talk about it, so I'm curious. The next on the list is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This book has been heavily talked about, and it is basically about a man who kind of loses his memory but doesn't realize that the whole world's future is in his hands, like literally. So he is, I don't know if he's like an astronaut or what, but he is on a last chance mission to save planet Earth. And if he fails, then literally that's it for everyone. But he loses his memory. He doesn't even remember that that's his mission. He doesn't know how to complete this mission. He just wakes up in space with his crewmates, his two crewmates who are already, and he's trying to figure out who are they, why am I out here, like what is even going on. And so he's kind of putting the pieces together, and I guess we'll see if he solves it or not. Next book is called Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. This is actually a memoir, and it's kind of not really a tell-all, but it's just talking about her experience working behind the scenes for Facebook and in their global policy and things like that. It says a cautionary tale of power, greed, and lost idealism. I actually have already started this book. I'm 14% of the way in it. I started it a few days ago. I filmed this video a few days ago, like a week and a half ago, and I just have been sitting on it. Anyway, so I'm enjoying that book so far. It's almost like being told as a fiction story or whatever type of story, but it's also being told as like a memoir. So it's like a lot more interesting, I feel like, to read. Okay, back to Past Me. Lastly, finally, we have Semi Well Adjusted Despite Literally Everything by Allison Stoner. Allison Stoner was like a Disney star, if you don't remember, like Camp Rock, Cheaper by the Dozen. But of course, as we know, Hollywood, especially children in Hollywood, things just aren't as they seem, and there's just a lot of darker things behind the scenes. And so this is basically her memoir, just telling her life story thus far, and just getting a better understanding of the things that she's been through, battling with societal pressure or just pressure from her job, family trauma, things like that. So I'm really excited to learn more about her story. I feel like all of these books on my 26 for 2026 are in such a huge variety, just as I like. I am so excited to get to reading these books and cracking these bad boys open. My goal for 2026 is 100 books, same as it was last year. I might lower it though, because I don't want to feel rushed or feel like I have to meet this huge goal. Last year I got exactly 100 books, or I think I got to 101 books. This year I don't want to have any pressure around it or anything, so I don't know, I might lower it, but that's for another video. I'm going to make a checklist that I can follow along to see if I accomplish these goals, and I'll check them off as I read each book, and I'll keep you guys updated with that. If you guys want to stay updated in real time, be sure to follow me over on Instagram. I'm going to be more active on there. Let me know, what are your most anticipated reads for 2026? I'm curious. I might have to add a few more books, okay? Because like I said, the ultimate goal is about 100, maybe a little less. 26 is nowhere near that. So we definitely have space to add a lot more books. So let me know what your most anticipated reads are for 2026. I am excited to hear about it and chat more. But yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching up until this point. If you've stayed, you're an OG. You're literally the GOAT. And I'll see you guys in the next one.